We're ready. Okay.
And then you slide it back. Okay, I'll wait in here for you.
My head's too big for this. How you doing today? We're all here, man. We're with the Enya experience with my ladies here. Uh, Guadalupe Hurt and Denise.
Hello, how are you guys?
Doing good. Okay. In a couple of minutes here, we'll be talking a little bit about the Enya experience and the filmed writer, Miss Denise Soled Cox. Welcome to KUHA. Wow, I blew that one. Sorry, fans. KUHSdenver.com. I want to give everybody a big orale. Can anybody give me an orale?
Orale!
No, we're here. We're here in North End at KUHS Studio. We're live streaming with my friends here from the Enya Experience, the Enya Project. I just like to tell everybody, remember that this is being sponsored by No More Green Chili. This is Senor El Chicano, El Quintana, whatever you want to call me, as long as it's positive. Let's make sure that this is all going to be something great, because sometimes I can be full of myself, as you guys all know. Welcome again to KUHSdenver.com. And I like to let everybody know that I started off my day right. I started off with huevos rancheros. Huevos rancheros, because today is huevos rancheros Friday. And absolutely every Friday is huevos rancheros Friday. And I think that's a good way to start the day, and just let everybody know that after you have your huevos rancheros, you're going to be really feeling good and you're going to have a great day. Our guest today is Denise Soled Cox, and her publicist is here. You want to say hello?
Hello, how are you? My name is Lupe Hurt.
Lupe Hurt, and also our main speaker today.
Hi, my name is Denise Soled Cox. Nice to be here, and thank you very much for inviting us.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and do a little bit. I want to start with the overview of the project.
Sure. So about 20 years ago now, I was having dinner with a bunch of friends of mine in Miami, Florida. I lived there during my 20s, and it was a typical night with friends. We're laughing, we're making jokes, and all of a sudden I had kind of like an aha experience. And the experience felt like a very deep connection with the people that I was having dinner with. And all of a sudden I realized that excuse me. Anyway, what I realized is that I was connected to these people at the table in a whole new way beyond friendships, and that my entire childhood, where I felt disconnected, where I didn't feel Puerto Rican enough for my Puerto Rican family or American enough for the mainstream culture that I was raised in, all of a sudden in one moment out with my friends, I had this connection where I felt like I belonged for the first time, and like they belonged too, and that this in-between place that a lot of people refer to as bicultural was actually a destination.
So you were kind of like having a Selena moment?
I had a Selena, actually I had many Selena moments growing up, and I realized all of a sudden that those Selena moments had a name, and that name was the Enya Experience.
Sweet. Okay, well, that's the project. What's been going on with this project, the Enya project? I know you talked a little bit about getting involved with it, started up, but what's been going on, and what are its components? And when I think about Enya, I think of that little letter on the computer board. But I know there's a lot more to it than just a letter on a keyboard. Can you just talk a little bit more about its components?
Sure. So a lot of times it's the letter on the keyboard that no one can find.
That's
And
true. That's
so
true. I still can't find it. I think mine is a racist keyboard.
I actually just switched laptops and I can't currently find it on my Chromebook, but I can easily find it on a Mac. But anyway, that's another story. So we should do tutorials on Facebook on how to do that at the very least. But what we are is actually, we're in post-production with a film right now, a documentary film. It's 37 jam-packed, very quick minutes all about Latino identity and the Enya identity and what it feels like to be caught between two different worlds, the Latino world that our parents are from and the American world that we were raised in. And so we also have two other components to the project. We have a podcast and we also have a microdoc series, and those can be found on our website where we profile Enyas that we found sort of along the way in our journey in the last few years.
So you have done all these interviews,
Yes.
and what are those interviews made up of? Like, what do you ask them? Like, are they really important questions that deal? What is your background like? What are your experiences like as an Enya? Like, tell me, give me a little bit of an explain that.
Of course. So I will say that I would not have called myself an expert interviewer by any stretch of the imagination, but I am an expert conversationalist, and I love meeting new people. I love finding out about their lives, and I love understanding what makes someone tick, why they made certain decisions in their life. I'm a very heart of the matter type person. I don't like small talk, and so all we did was we took that and we put it on camera. So I don't typically have the same questions for every subject. All I really did 72 times was have a conversation with people and have a real conversation with people. And so I was actually just on a call this morning with someone, and they wanted to know my criteria for interviewing someone. And I have to say my number one criteria is that someone is willing to get real. Like, I don't much care about someone's status or their accomplishments, although I respect them a lot. What I do want to talk about is how they felt the day that they decided to change the pronunciation of their name from Roberto to Robert. I want to know why and what happened after and how they feel now. I want to know what happened when they told their parents, you know what, I don't want you to pack burritos for me anymore in my lunch. I want a PB&J. I want to know why they made that decision, and I want to know how they feel about it now. Those are Enya moments, or like you referred to, Selena moments. And those are what I'm curious about. Oftentimes we don't talk about those things, and it gives people a lot of relief to share that experience with other people. And so I had 720 hours of those conversations in the last 2 years, and then we made a movie about it.
Wow, that's going to be really exciting really exciting to see and to be able to share about the Enya experience. I'm really thinking about very similar because I consider myself a Chicano, and as a kid growing up, I did have an Enya moment, many Enya moments as a Chicano, even though I'm like 12th generation in the United States. Family was really looked down at. We had to be different. And I remember just being embarrassed for taking a tortilla burrito filled with tuna fish, and everybody had their nice little white sandwiches.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my Enya moment.
There you go. See, you had an Enya moment.
Yeah.
I had that same moment with something called the plátanos. They're really popular in the Caribbean. They're
Yes.
like kind of like a green banana, and Puerto Ricans like to eat those every day in every different type of deep fried form. And so my mother would pack them deep fried and kind of smushed, and they're called tostones. And I love them. I grew up on them, and I remember asking my mom, please don't pack them in my lunch anymore. I want a bologna sandwich with on Wonder Bread with mustard. And she held her heart and looked at me like I told her I didn't love her anymore. Wow. And that was one of my first times I realized I broke a cultural rule that I didn't realize that I was breaking. And as a kid, it was very confusing for me because I wanted to fit in, but to be honest, I liked the taste of bologna sandwiches on Wonder Bread. I don't think I'd like it now, but it was just different to me, you know. And so anyway, that was my Enya moment, and a lot of people have that moment and they can recall it.
And today it's like you don't even eat white sandwiches anymore.
No.
It's more like you got to have a salad and some tomatoes and cucumbers and to be politically correct and the whole bit and driving me nuts. I noticed that it's another component of your group is your publicist. Would the publicist like to explain a little bit about what that means? What is a publicist?
Well, my job and pleasure is actually to work with a team to really kind of help raise the visibility of the project. Obviously, as an NU myself, I've had not just a professional interest in the project, but also a very profound personal interest. And that just stems from the idea of being able to relate 100%. I had my conversation with Denise now, about a year and a half or so ago, ballpark. And it's been amazing to see kind of just how it's unfolded and affected my day to day and, how I look at things and how I engage with my kids and kind of taking a look back at what I didn't want to do and what I wanted to do now and really kind of taking control of that and realizing that it's never too late to make a change that will, put your cultural life back in check and give you that empowerment to shape your future, which has been awesome.
It's really nice to be able to hear that. Thank you, Guadalupe. That's Guadalupe Hurd over there. She's a very important person here in Colorado.
Very, very
These ladies here are very important people. The first Latina to write a film and actually act in it. Is that correct?
Right. Well, and I wouldn't call it acting, but I would say I am the focal point, the primary character in the film. It is a documentary, so it's an unscripted story, and we go back into my past and go to the house that I grew up in. We go to the buildings in New York City that my parents took me back at after that I was born in the hospital to the church that I was raised in Spanish Harlem, and the church that I ended up going to in Westchester, which is a suburb of New York City. And so through our journey in this project, Lupe and my relationship started out with our first Enya conversation at a coffee shop, and then it evolved into her coming on to the team as the publicist, and then it became abundantly clear that her story was relevant and important to tell as part of our film. So Lupe is actually a secondary character in the film, and so we get into her life a little bit, and people just fall in love with Lupe after they see it. So get ready to fall in love with this film. You're going to meet her family, and you're going to hear about her life. And one of the funniest scenes in the movie is actually a scene that we do together.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here on KUHSdenver.com, sponsored by No More Green Chili. Let's just continue with this conversation, and sometimes I like to play the devil's advocate because I'm thinking about a film that you want everybody to see, correct?
Yes.
And then I look down and I look at my notes and I looked at the trailer and some of the literature, and it talks about taking on anti-Latino sentiment. Can you explain that?
Would you like to go there, Lupe?
Sure. So obviously we're in a very, what would you say, politically charged year. And unfortunately, there is a lot of words, sentiments, feelings, expressions being thrown out there very irresponsibly about Latinos. And our job is through this documentary, through the communications that we're trying to convey, is to show people that Latino doesn't necessarily mean some of the things that they are being associated with, whether that's illegal, lawbreaker, maid, gardener. There's so much more. We bring so much more to the plate and so much more to the conversation, but yet people oftentimes get sidetracked because that's all they hear in the media. So our job is really to kind of take on that anti-Latino rhetoric and kind of balance it out and show them that we bring so much more to the table.
And I think it's pretty obvious that a lot of people know all this stuff. It just also has to do a little bit with what was going on with our families. And my dad was a butcher in the packing houses in Colorado, and there was always that competition.
What do you mean?
With other workers, and a lot of times he was discriminated as being a Chicano and treated poorly and looked down at. I guess that's the best way to look at it. My mother was a farm worker, a migrant farm worker in Colorado. One of the first ones. I think I had shared this with Guadalupe. and that's why I wrote my book, No More Green Chili. But some of the discrimination they went through, and just anti-sentiment. I think a lot of the history is here. Everybody knows the history here. They know about the immigrants. They know about everything because a lot of their parents were immigrants also. And it just sometimes it's hidden history or history that no one wants to know about because it's better if we just go on. I think that when I look at the anti-sentiment towards Latinos, yes, it's here. But at the same time, I'm still kind of confused on how do we grab that population that are anti-Latino. How do we grab that? Because are they really going to go watch the film? It's something that I'm thinking about. Are they really going to watch the film? And I don't know. I think to me that's going to be one of the obstacles that this film's going to be looking at.
Well, I think so. Our market, like when you look at I mean, there's like what 55 million Latinos in the United States, and there's 16 million children of immigrants living in the United States right now. And what an Enya is the child of an immigrant, right? And so I love Freñas. It's the name that we gave people that love Enyas but aren't Latino. They're called Freñas. And so I love them. I welcome them. My business partner, my producing and directing partner is the first and ultimate Freña. And so there are a lot of smart people out there that are informed and will see this film as a way to understand themselves better, because at the end of the day, this is a human story told through the lens of the Enya. Just like every other piece of media or probably story, allegory, there's like a subject chosen and some kind of life lesson learned. And what happens in this particular film is we follow me and Lupe and another primary or secondary character, Louis Guzman, who's a famous actor. Through this journey, and what we learn is that there are no answers, only questions, and people end up in a place of inquiry. For example, why aren't I teaching my kids Spanish versus darn it, I'm so ashamed that I don't speak Spanish myself.
Yeah.
Why don't I get to know the story of the person that sits next to me at work? Why don't I talk to my mom about their experience? Or it leaves people questioning some decisions that they've made that they inherited, is what I say. So things that they decided about the world, like how things are. It leaves people in a spot to say, you know what, I don't care how things were. I'm going to do this newly. Like for Lupe, you know what? It doesn't matter that she didn't incorporate as much culture and tradition into her family. It just simply doesn't. She got to a decision in her life that there's always a second chance. If you're living, if you're breathing, you've got a second chance to pass down that culture, the food, the recipes, the dance, the language. And ultimately, what's so inspiring about this is that she's choosing to take action and do something about it. And so, yeah, there's all this anti-Latino sentiment, and I don't consider it my job to change anyone's mind. I do want to offer a new conversation to the Latino community, however, and I want to called why do we perpetuate the things that we perpetuate? Why are we thinking about ourselves in these ways, and why not? Why is it not okay? For me just to be 85% fluent in Spanish and not be embarrassed about it? Why do people judge me and try to take my Latina-ness away because I'm not 100% fluent? I used to carry around a lot of personal shame about it. I used to think I wasn't Latina enough, but that's like saying I don't have brown hair enough. It is and is. I have brown hair. I am Latina, and my language, not being able to speak it 100% or cook arroz con habichuelas perfect or dance salsa to perfection doesn't take away any of those things.
Those are pretty neat things, though. That salsa dancing is really cool.
And I can salsa and merengue.
And I can't.
And it doesn't make you any less Latino. And I really question and challenge people that try to take that away. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times it's our Latino counterparts that are guilty of that. And so I challenge that, and I say, we're all Latino, and so now what? What are we going to do with that?
And I think sometimes it can be our biggest enemy too.
Mm-hmm.
Like my parents did this. Why can't you guys do this? And why don't you only speak English? Or, hey, I'm very intelligent. I speak more than one language. Thank you. But I want to just, this is a good time here right now because we're talking about the world a little bit, about how people perceive the Latino. And we have some visitors here. We have somebody from um, Switzerland,
Oh, wow.
all the way from Switzerland. How you doing, Switzerland?
Hello, person from
Hello.
Switzerland.
We
How
have
do you say hello over there? Bonjour.
Bonjour, really bit français. And then we have somebody from Houston.
Hey, Houston, what's up?
Hey.
Houston, that's really a cool city here. I heard it's pretty flat there. A lot of
And hot.
hurricanes and hot, but cool people. We have a person from the United Kingdom, Shrewsbury. I guess I'd say that.
Hello, Shrewsbury. Nice to see you. Thanks for listening and watching.
And we have somebody from Orense,
Uh-huh.
Spain.
Oh, wow.
Want to say something in
Hola.
Spanish? Hola, ¿cómo
¿Cómo
estás?
estás? Bienvenidos.
And then we have Romania.
Wow, that
CDU.
is so neat.
Quite a global footprint.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we have Orsagna, Italy.
Hi, Italy, Italia.
Loughborough, United Kingdom.
That's great.
Serbia.
Serbia, that's
And
cool.
somebody from Williamsburg, just as close as that, as home, as Williamsburg, and somebody from Port Allen, United States.
Awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for chiming in, and this is also a good time to do some shout outs. I'd like to shout out to my wife Louise Quintana, my daughter Melody, Emma Cerna, she always listens in, Lillian Mora, how you doing? Would you guys like to do some shout outs?
Oh, well, thank you. I'd love to shout out to my family. So Walter, Julianne, and Andrew Hurt, and all my peeps out in Broomfield.
Go Broomfield. They used to be our rival. Broomfield used to be Adam City's rival
Oh,
team
right.
in football.
Oh, watch out.
And I'm already getting like, oh man.
Good thing I'm sitting over here on this side.
Yeah,
then.
sit back, jump back, Mamacita, jump back. Okay.
And I just want to give a shout out to all of our Project Enya fans that are listening. You guys are awesome. And also to our social media maven extraordinaire, Carolina, who rocks at our social media like a boss.
No tomorrow.
Yes.
Yep,
Or what's the
agreed.
female version of a boss?
La jefa.
La jefa.
Oh, man. I'm already shaking. I'm already shaking. And also a big shout out to the person that connected us. That's Karen Gonzalez.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Definitely.
Karen, thank you.
And then somebody that's kind of like knows both you and I, Veronica.
All right, Veronica Montoya,
Yeah, she's
old and good
she's
friend
a
of
prima,
mine.
and she's
That
a good
is so
friend of hers.
funny.
So we're all kind of like in this little world, even though everybody's so far away, all the way from Switzerland to Williamsburg, United States, to North Bend, Colorado, Broomfield, Commerce City, and now I live in Murphy Creek in Aurora. So I'd like to say hi to everybody out there, and let's just keep this going. Let's just keep this going. This anti-Latino thing, this has to be erased, or just make people aware of what's going on in this world, because they are more than just maids. We are more than just gardeners. We're very intelligent gardeners, people that have something to give to the rest of us. They are the builders, they're the makers, they're the backbone of our country. A little bit about going back to the differences of different movements. Like I had mentioned earlier, I was part of the Chicano movement as a young kid, which I was very influenced by Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez. I heard one of his speeches as a young high school kid at the Maya conference in Boulder, and he said to go out, get your education, and come back to your community. And I was one of the fortunate ones to be able to do that.
That's awesome.
Came back to my community and taught 27 years in Adams County School District 14. How do you compare this ENYE project? Is it a movement or is it not a movement?
So that's a really good question. And first, I do want to give props to Cokie Gonzalez too. We actually, one of our favorite pieces is we reenacted his. We had a bunch of high school students recite his poem, "I Am Joaquin," and it remains one of my favorite pieces on our website. And so I encourage everyone to check it out, projectenya.com. And so, are we a movement? Are we not a movement? I don't know who declares something a movement or not. I will tell you we're not political. And so I don't know if all movements have to be political. A lot of people regard us as a movement. I say we are, what I stand for is people standing in their own identity and accepting themselves as a member of this and being able to declare themselves as a member of this in-between community and feel powerful and feel a lot of personal power from that. So how would you answer that, Lupe?
You know, I agree. I mean, I realize we're not political, but when I first heard about it, and I think I've seen just the ripple effects of how people, when they hear about the project and they share their story or they hear and see the microdocs, I think it just creates a wave of connection that I think is the fundamental base of a movement. The idea of people coming together and believing in something so much and feeling that sense of unity that it moves them collectively together. And so I do see this as a unifying tie for first generations that didn't feel 100% American, didn't feel 100% Mexicana, Colombiana, or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
It gives them that center point, and it moves us all collectively forward. So to some degree, I think, yeah, we are. And I think the idea of all of us, you know, experiencing this cultural awakening and what could come of that once we accept who we are and our place and our contributions and our value will be astronomical to see kind of how that affects generations to come.
She has a lot to offer. Earlier, she said she didn't even want to talk, but she
She's
sure added to the conversation. Like, wow, this is crazy.
You make it too easy. That's why.
Simpleton. That's because I'm a simpleton at times, but I try to develop that kind of a conversation, and because I have a lot of experience in the world with teaching and my church and various other areas, that I'm able to generate these types of conversations.
So if I could just make a comment too on the movement thing and kind of what the outcome that people want. A lot of people say, Denise, what do you want from this? Like, why are you doing this? And
that leads to my next question. What motivates you?
Right. So what motivates me is when people. I'm curious to live in a world where people who have felt disconnected feel connected. I know when I was younger, the moments that I felt disconnected, regardless of if I actually had support or not, I would take myself away and I would isolate myself and I wouldn't feel like I was a part of things. And I feel like when someone feels disconnected, it's not as powerful as a connected person. I don't know if that makes sense or not.
It does make a lot of sense.
People say, well, what do you want from people?
I can relate to that.
I want people to make a decision. Like when I'm feeling super connected, we're all hanging out and not feeling distrust, not feeling too vulnerable, not feeling like something's going to happen to me. I think people move into powerful things and they say, you know what, I'm going to speak Spanish, or I'm going to go for that job, or I'm going to volunteer, or I'm going to register to vote, or I'm going to get other people to register to vote. I'm going to do this thing to contribute positively to my school or community. I'm going to be active civically. I think people that are disconnected stay home and they isolate. People that are connected reach out and want to give. And I want to live in that world. And I truly believe that Enya sets people free, that when they see these stories and they see my story, they get set free and they get unburdened. And I want to live in a world where people feel unburdened from their own decisions that they've made about themselves. Like, I'm not good enough because my Spanish isn't good enough. I'm not good enough because I don't know how to make pupusas, because I can't sense salsa perfectly, because I don't understand all the traditions of my forefathers or my history. None of that takes any Latino away from any person. And once that's reinstated and the person feels whole again, you can't imagine what that looks like. I've had people want to reunite relationships, reconcile with family members. And although I don't have an exact plan for everyone, I think everyone's on their own journey. And I love the idea that I can play a part, or that my storytelling can play a part in those decisions that people make when they feel whole.
Well, I'm really excited to when it happens, when the film comes out, I'm going to be really excited to to go see it. Hopefully I'm going to get an invitation for maybe the debut of it. I'm hoping and praying for that one.
We'd love to invite you to
And I'd
that.
like to be there and front row seats, questions and answers. I'll be raising my hand, causing havoc. But just like to say thank you for being here to this afternoon, and it's really been a pleasure. We're also going to try to promote this. We forgot to talk about the. We don't
Right.
have.
Okay, great. So right now we are working on raising some funds to finish the film. We just have a little bit more to go. So far, my partner and I have self-funded this entire project, and we are needing to raise just a little bit extra funds to finish the film. And so we do have a Kickstarter campaign right now, and there's a lot of awesome Enya rewards. People are like fighting over our t-shirts and our hats and our stickers. We have these awesome metallic tattoos. We also have something for teachers, for ESL and ELL teachers. We've got study guides and DVDs of the film that won't be released until next year, but
Wow.
you can get on the pre-sale list for that. That only exists on Kickstarter right now. And so anything above the $27,000 that we are currently raising is going to scholarship schools, underserved schools and communities that will not be able to afford to have us screen the film at their school. And I don't know about you, but growing up, when we did like an assembly and some like powerful people came in, it was really life-changing. And I want to be able to offer that to students that normally wouldn't be able to have access to that. So anything above the $27,000 that we raise is going to go directly to underserved communities and schools that wouldn't normally be able to afford it. And I want to thank you guys for running a PSA for us for the
Okay.
duration of the campaign, where people
Thank
will be
you,
able to
Henry
receive-
Archuleta.
Thank you, Henry Archuleta, for that. We all appreciate you.
Well, it's that time. I can't believe how fast it went. I think we can go easily an hour with this program, especially on today's topic and today's guest. Let's see. Our next guest is going to be J.D. Judica. He'll be talking about baseball, his book on baseball, and just say thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much for having us. We really appreciate
And
it.
again, thank you, Henry Archuleta, for being so cool. You are a very cool guy. And to the audience, thank you for listening in. And we do appreciate your time. And may your world be filled with stories. Have a great day.
Bye.